probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to say this because I'm pissed off about it. There is this effort, which I don't really expect to go anywhere, to recall Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf, who's been my friend for over a quarter century, and to the point where she calls me her brother, and I call her my sister, her brother and god sister, and all that stuff, okay? But Libby may have her faults, but to want to recall her so early in her time as mayor is absolutely fucking ridiculous, and I will tell you why. Libby has done an excellent job of being an Oakland person, a child of Oakland, identifying Oakland's brand and what makes Oakland so great a place to live, and communicating that as it happens that Oakland has a growing, not just national, but international platform because of its emergence as a place to be for tech startups, because of its sports teams, because of the fact that for the first time in Oakland's post-war history, the ugly specter of institutional investor racism is almost completely gone. We could get rid of the rest of it were it not for California Governor, former Oakland Mayor Jerry Brown's efforts in getting rid of redevelopment, but I digress. My point is that now we have people wanting to build and invest in Oakland in ways that we've never seen before. We even had Kevin Durant select Oakland, where the Warriors are, to live rather than someplace else. And that is completely different from our past, when it was well known that we couldn't get a big name sports figure in basketball to come to play for the Warriors in Oakland. The Warriors tried before with LeBron James, of all people, in 2010. Didn't work. But the bottom line is, this time it did. And it's another symbol. Uber is building a headquarters right at Broadway and 21st, where the BART station is located. It'll be finished in about a year and a half. That's another example. Libby is in the center of all of this. And so she's being asked to take the hardest job that any Oakland mayor has had to deal with without it being a natural disaster. For example, Elihu Harris had to preside over natural disaster. But specifically, it's a giant economic fissure. And it consists of the same of people coming into Oakland, again, because of the removal of the institutional investor racism I talked about, and working to change Oakland's culture in ways that in a lot of cases are undesirable, and cheek by jowl with people who live and know Oakland and know the soul of Oakland, that it's inclusive of everyone regardless of race, creed, color, economic strata, okay, and talks to everybody. That's the old Oakland. The new Oaklanders, the people that come in that are somewhat transient, they come and go, they don't get that. And yet we haven't done anything to really teach it to them, which is something that is on Libby's agenda, I know. But the bottom line is this. People want to get rid of Libby because they perceive her as not caring about the people who are suffering. And that is nothing further from the truth. She does care. She really does. But the problem is that if Libby takes a stand or takes an action, she doesn't get credit for it. Whereas in some cases, if Libby were black, she'd get credit for it. And some of the people who are complaining about Libby themselves have done absolutely nothing to help improve the situation. They've only complained about it. And some of the people complaining about it have also ran for mayor. But instead of jumping in to help with helping to clean up the streets, helping to, by volunteering or even having media to bring attention to certain problems, their own media, instead of doing that, they don't answer the question, hey, what would you do if you were mayor? Instead, they don't answer the question. There's one person who's notorious for not doing that, and that's Ken Houston. And Ken should be ashamed of himself for not really being a true leader and getting out there and helping guide change in Oakland. Oakland's change is so widespread, so complicated, and so dramatic that it needs all hands on deck to manage. You can't just expect the mayor to do it. No one running for mayor talked about how hard this job was going to be. in spite of the fact that these pressures were right there in our face. And they only got worse. And they've only gotten worse. Okay? So that's where we sit right now. But to want to recall Libby immediately and replace her with who? Who's going to do a better job? Why? Tell me. At this juncture, when she just came in late 2014, and this is 2016, is absolutely ridiculous. Keep Libby in office. Let her do her job. She's doing a great job. She really is. To manage all this, not lose her cool, except when it's appropriate with respect to the Oakland Police Department. And no one gives her credit if she takes a significant portion of her State of the City address and says to the fact that Black Lives Matter. Or if she mentions that there are institutions that have a problem, then they're racist when her second speech as mayor of Oakland. She said that and was the first Oakland mayor, regardless of color, to point to the specter of racism right in its eye and point out that it exists. I've been in Oakland since 1974. Folks, that's never happened. So give Libby a break. Give her a chance. And Libby, keep the Raiders here. Actually, I want to say one thing. Libby's doing a great job at that because this comes from a person who's been both critic and advisor. She understands what it means to play behind-the-scenes ball and move forward. Folks, sometimes we don't need to know the details about everything. Just because you don't know them doesn't mean things aren't being done. Keep that in mind.